So, decided to do a video. It's probably going to be a two-part video of a series. So I'm gonna go through what are some of my cutters, some of the swords I love to use to cut with, because what I have right now, I have a few more, and then what are my top favorites, and that includes ones I don't use because, well, they have a special place for me and I don't want them messed up. And if you have swords like that, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to cut with every single one that you have. So, because a certain person got it for you, maybe it costed you, it was really expensive to buy. If you got a real Nohanto from Japan, you definitely don't want to use that for cutting, especially if it's an antique. No. And it's just display, that's fine. So, gonna go through some and why I like them, and how they handle for me. So, and I'll put links to all these and the prices of them, so you can go check them out for yourself. Where you buy your swords, that's up to you, and that also depends on who you're comfortable with buying from. Everyone goes, well, it's always the same fittings, the same. Yeah, the majority they do. Some other companies have sword fittings that are more unique. Does that really justify for them jacking the price up really, really high when it's let's say, differentially hardened 1095 blade or through hardened blade? In my personal opinion, it doesn't really justify it, because it is just a sword fittings. You could go online and buy the fittings yourself that are unique and different and change them out on your sword, or just make the sky yourself and put those fittings on. So to me, I don't think that's a driving factor for me oh, it's unique, it's different, spending $900 on it, and it's like a 1095 blade. That's just not a driving factor for me. Just because they have unique fittings. So, being at a foundry, I'm sure if I had the money, I could have them make fittings for a sword and pour them. So that's my personal opinion. Yours might be different. It's fine. So, let's go through and look at some of the swords I love to cut with for this segment. And I've got 4 of them picked out right now. So, and I'll start with this one. It's I've had it for a while, actually quite a few years. And it's an Unikubi. There's a curry. This one right here. This one is from Hanbon. It is a 1095 blade through hardened. Okay, it's not differentially hardened, but this thing has held up great. The Edu wrap, tight, still tight. I've had this for over 3 years. $166. Can't go wrong with it. I've done reviews on this, so I'm not going to give you tons of specs on this. I've done a revisit, I'm pretty sure, on this one. If not, I will get to it. Here's the matte black, I forget the name of it, everyone knows it, where it doesn't leave any fingerprints. I've had to shim this side a couple times, only because I've used it so much. The balance on this is just phenomenal. I love it. It's nimble as hell. And it's a traditional, Unikubi. It doesn't have the big diamond on the back. As you can see, there's no big diamond, reinforced diamond on the back. It's real subtle, but it is there. But man, this thing cuts great. It's a little dirty because it's oiled up. But fit and finish, it is held up. Nothing's come loose. Kasha's Again, because they wrapped around it with the Ito. I always say when they do that, I never have a problem with it. But it just handles really good, and you got 11-inch handle. So you have pretty decent amount of room on this sword, and it just cuts like a dream. Like I said, $166. You cannot go wrong with this blade at all. It's one of my best investments I ever made is with this one right here. I love hanbon's quality. That's why they're my go-to for custom work. And they have really upped their game and have not jacked up their prices like Swords of Noshire. I would love to do business with them more, but they have gotten really expensive now. You can't start a custom job for less than $200, and that's basic. You're going for like a 1060, you're almost in it for $200. Hanbon, you can have one done for $98. So if you don't have a lot of money, I mean, which one are you going to go with? And you're getting Ito wrap like this. Heck a tight. This stuff has never come loose. And I could definitely use this thing one-handed in my right hand or my left and control it 100%, whichever way I need to. Love this thing. If you haven't seen the video, we actually bought my brother this exact same sword. He loves this thing. He just needs time to practice more with it. But he loves the feel of this sword and how nimble it is. So, yeah, this is one of my favorite cutters of all time. I just love this thing. Hanbon knocked it out of the park with this, and they normally do. Like I said, this is just going to be part one. So I'm going to have probably another sword from Hanbon. I guarantee you that. They knocked it out of the park for me. And it's actually a custom job. So, yeah. Hanbon, Unikubi. So if you're looking for a good, decent Unikubi, it's not going to break the bank, $166. You just can't go wrong with this. Next up, drum swords. I did a recent revisit on this guy. Just the aesthetics of this, I love it. Love the aesthetics. The size, well done. It does a little rattle. It does have a little rattle to it. Not terribly bad though. But I love the aesthetics of this thing. Handles great in the hands. And that really, when you get a sword, you want it to handle phenomenal in the hands. Now, but aside from the Unikubis, if they're done properly, will always be nimble in the hands because they've thinned out the back. They've lightened greatly the sword. And I would say, I actually commented this earlier on a video today. The only other sword that would rival that is a Kugurasu. Now, most people don't like the Kugurasu. They don't like the geometry of it. I love it. I think the Kugurasu it ranks up there at the Unikubi. And like I said, I think it would rival it in being so nimble. And I'm hoping I could get another Kugurasu to compare from a different company. But I like them. So, this one, it's got a little bit more weight to it, of course, because it's a Shinogi Zakuri. But it's a 9260. Again, I can just manipulate this blade like crazy. And that, to me, is a plus. If I can manipulate it and control it 100%. As always, the aesthetics of it with the copper seppas and everything, it just makes it flow. And it being a 9260 spring steel blade, especially for beginners, you definitely can't go wrong with this. So if you're not used to cutting, and we all did it at first, you have an extremely bad cut where it could put a set in a very rigid blade like a T10 or 1095. This isn't going to happen to it because it's a spring steel. love this thing. This thing is awesome. For a no-name company that's been around for a while, Drum Swords, $108. Definitely can't go wrong with this one too. I mean, out of the box, this thing was a razor blade. Now, the drawback to through hardened blades is, well, they're not going to stay sharp for as long. That's just the way it is. But thing handles nice. I love this thing. This thing does really, really good in the hands. Eat her up, still tight, nothing's come loose. You know, I can move it a little bit with my thumb, but not bad. We'll have some cutting with all these swords. So don't stop the video and go away, because the cutting video will be at the end. So hopefully you stick around for that, or you can just fast forward it. Now, also, you know, 9260, it's going to show scratches really quickly. But it's going to handle anything you throw at it, pretty much. So, great cutter again, right here, Drum Swords. They are, I think they're going to be an upcoming company that people should look out for. So, yeah. Sayas are good. I mean, it's a saya, but they lock in. From what I understand, what I was told from another YouTuber studio, he found out they make their own sayas. So, I mean, with this one, a little bit round. Maybe they should have, you know, not have taken out so much on the inside, but you know, it's fine. As long as the sword doesn't fall out, and people who shake it really hard, you shouldn't be doing that. Like I said, if you want to see how good the fit is, put in an obi belt, or whatever belt you wear, the way you would have it. Bend over. Put your hand like that, so if it falls out. But bend over. If it doesn't fall out, and then walk around, you know, and bend down. If it's not falling out, it's got a good tension to it. Too much tension can be bad. That can be dangerous. So, another great cutter. Next up, recently, you've all seen this. I got it just recently. This is from Bohu. Bohu makes some really nice swords. Now I've got two from them. I have a butterfly theme and then a wave theme, ocean theme. Out of the two. Now, I like my other Bohu, but out of both of these, both of their swords, I favor this one the most. This thing feels great in the hands too. It really does. And there we go. I did have to shim this saya from the get-go, as in the review. But it doesn't mean every single one's going to be like that. But I love this thing. I love the feel in the hands. And that should be a big, big factor. How does it feel in your hands? You know, but I can control this thing any way I want. And that is a plus for me. Control, control, control. This could have the ugliest fittings on it. If I can control it in my hands, both, and not have feel any unruliness to it, it's a plus for me. Because I can change the fittings. That's the beauty of a katana. You can change the fittings if you want. Change them out. They used to do that. They used to change their subas out all the time, depending on what the occasion was. They would change them out for battle, change them out for marriages, festivals. They would have more than one. During the Edo period, actually, suba collecting got very, very popular. So, if you get a sword but you like the feel of it, but you don't like the fittings, change them out. It's very simple. But I love this thing, and it cuts great. Handles, phenomenal. Now it's a little bit front heavy, but I don't mind that. I think it helps assist. Too much front heaviness, really bad. But I love this. I can control it in both hands. So, another great, like I said before, this is one of my top favorites now. So this kind of overshadows the prior bohu that I have. So, yeah, love this thing. Bohu makes some good quality swords. And this was only, if I remember correctly, $136. So, yeah, can't go wrong with it at all. Differentially hardened T10 blade. And they do a good job of it. So, and they're not like a skimpy blade. You can feel the heft in them. They're a beefy blade. They're straight. They're nice. So, yep. Another favorite that I love to cut with is this one right here. So, awesome, awesome, awesome. There we go. So, now, last one. Y'all hear me always talk about them. A lot of people don't have them. I was surprised when two people, Space Ghost and Tone Deaf, they're both YouTubers, go check them out, said they had one. I was shocked because a lot of people don't talk about them. There's not a lot of videos on these, neither. I don't think they get enough attention. And this is my personal feeling, and that is Sawadi. Sawadi is the only one that does the Jabaru Ito wrap, which is 6 ropes, 3 on either side, wrapping it, intertwining it. Just dropped recently a revisit on the Hollow Dragon. And it's actually Pantini because it's copper fittings. Pantini like this one. And I love it because it gives it that antique look. And it's just all natural. People say, well, the finishing wasn't very good. When it comes to copper, it's nice when it starts Pantini because it does it in such a subtle way. And you can get polish if you need to bring that color back out. And there's certain ways you can do it where it still looks antique. So, but that's a different discussion. We bought one of these for our son too. We bought him 2 swords. One from hanbon, that was $10.95, differential hardened. And one of these, dragon theme. He prefers this, his Sawadi, over the hanbon. Loves it because this handle, I cannot rave enough. Feels so good in the hands. It's not even funny. Second, I have never shimmed this sight. I've had it for 3 years. I love using this sword when I can. Never had a sight. The only thing went wrong is the Ishime. That's what it's called. Lacquer or paint job got scratched there. That was because of me on the sword rack. But other than that, plus you get a parachute wrap for the Sakio. Nobody I have seen anybody else do this before. Nor have I ever seen anybody do Ito wrapping like this. And they give it to you on their pre-made swords automatically on some of them, not all of them. They do have the traditional wraps. The only beef I would have with them is the kostra. After a while, it gets a little loose. So just dab some glue in there on the kostra. That's all I would say you would have to do. Other than that, everything else on this has stayed always tight. But this handle feels so good in the hands. It really does. I mean, it's hard to explain. You have to have one in your hand. But when it's in your hands, you know that it's not coming out of your hands. That's how confident this handle feels in your hands. And I can maneuver this thing any way I want. And it feels hefty. They're a hefty blade. But I can maneuver this thing any way I want. as well, and this thing cuts awesome. These can, you get the three that we bought, including the one we bought for our son as a gift, they come out as a razor blade. Okay, but damn, these things cut very, very well. Everything I've thrown at this thing, it just goes right through it, and it doesn't stop. The hanbon lines on them are nice. I can't speak more highly about them. Their transitions on their handles are nice too. There's maybe a slight ledge sometimes on them, but nothing that's going to hurt you. And people always go, oh, there's a little ledge right there. Well, you're not supposed to put your finger up there anyways. Your index finger stops right there at the edge anyways. You don't. The only time you choke up on a katana is if you're going to block from a hard hit. Other than that, you're below the Fuji. That's how it's supposed to be anyways. And this hand goes right here, around the Kashra. So, yeah, Sawadi, you can't go wrong with the Sawadi. And for $100, trying to remember, it's like $167, and they get to Jabra, if I'm pronouncing that right. Edo wrap, which I haven't seen anybody else do unless you send it to a custom handle maker. You can't go wrong with this at all, not one bit. Their fittings are nice, and they've got different types of fittings. Some people say, what's the truth of fittings? Same thing as it. Yeah, you do, but here's the difference I've noticed with Sawadi. They use certain types of sometimes copper and brass type. Because there are different types. There's not just like one type. There's different types of copper and brass. And they will incorporate that in their fittings. So that is a big plus. But here's the difference. They're not charging you $400 to $900 because of that. Do they have some that can reach $300? And it's due to because of the material that they're using. It's a certain type of copper or brass. They love using copper and brass for their fittings because they look good, they look nice. They do have some that are just straight alloy and some that are iron. But they like to make their swords very aesthetic looking, I've noticed. Even the ones that have the traditional Edo wrap, they still try to make them look aesthetically pleasing to the eye without you having to spend a fortune. And I really greatly appreciate that. You know, that they're willing to put the money in that stuff, but not try and rake you over the coals at the same time. Now they do make 1060 blades. They're a little bit cheaper. They're about $100. They're 1060. What are the quality on those? I don't know. I've only gotten their T10 blades because I like blades that are very durable. Now, this one's kind of scratched up because I use the hell out of this thing when I can, like I said. So this whole portion, even though it's T10, you can see the scratches in it, you know, like crazy, because I've used it so much. But this heat wrap hasn't come undone. Like I said, $167. You're getting an awesome wrap, and it feels good in the hands. It's like confidence like you wouldn't believe. So, and never had to shim it. Did I get it? No. 3 years. Still doesn't rattle. Awesome blades. I will rant all the time about these. Love the quality that Sawadi gives you. And especially for a no-name company. See, most of these swords, bohu, I mean, so there's quite a few people who've heard bohu, and of course hanbon, but like Drem and Sawadi, okay, no-name companies. But, and don't get me wrong, Drem has some pricey swords, so you get up there in price with them. Sawadi, you could get it a little bit, not that much, not that bad in price. You'll hit over $300. They don't do custom work though, not as far as I've seen. Drum swords does. But for two no-name companies, I mean, they're giving you your money's worth. That's the important thing, without having to ask for a fortune from you. And like I said, this is just part one. I'm probably going to have a part two. But out of all four of these swords, I can control every single one of them. They have cut great, and nothing has ever failed on these. And that is a very important key for me. Nothing that has failed on them. Hence, the wrap or anything. Yeah, the Kasha did come loose on the Sawadi, but like I said in my previous revisits and reviews, this wrap is very difficult. So I will give them a pass on that. But other than that, all these fittings have stayed tight. On every single one of these swords, the fittings have stayed tight. The Ito hasn't come loose. The blades, yeah, they're gonna dull. So, just the nature of the beast. But I can control them. They haven't failed. They haven't bent. And man, they're just a dream to handle. And every single one of these is under $200. So do you need to spend $900 on the sword? Do you need to spend $600 on the sword? No. In my personal opinion, you don't. Like I said, if you love the way they feel, like this, let's take the Sawadi. You love the way it feels. You love the way it cuts. You love the Ito wrap, but you don't like the fittings. Like at least the Suba, okay, or the Fuchi, because Kasha is going to be kind of change. Buy new fittings. You can go, if you go on Etsy, you will find an array of fittings for katanas that are unique. And the most you're going to spend that I've seen is the highest that you'll spend, because it depends on the material. $40. Maybe a little over $50. And you have a unique piece. So, I mean, who says you can't change it out yourself? Nobody. Like I said, with this wrap, unless you know how to do it, I wouldn't mess with undoing all that. But you could change the Fuchi, you could change the Suba. So, yeah. That's just my personal opinion. Again, like I said, but all four of these are under $200. And they perform excellent. Never any issues. So I think I've ranted enough. Let's get to the fun part. Let's get to the cutting.